are the Psychic Twins. They claim that they predicted 9/11. They've written multiple books, made a plethora of media appearances, have over 750,000 YouTube subscribers, and have collaborated with some of the biggest YouTubers in the world. And today, we're gonna test their claims and see if they hold up under scrutiny, starting with their claim of predicting 9/11.
We're known for predicting world events like 9/11.
Every single time that I've seen them make this claim, they cite their appearance with Art Bell on Coast to Coast Radio and nothing more.
Back in 1999, November 2nd, the legendary Art Bell of Coast to Coast AM radio said, you know what? Let's have some fun. Y2K is coming up. And I think it'd be fun if you came on our show and did some world predictions for, Y2K in the upcoming millennium. We predicted 9/11 on that show.
We are seeing various terrorist attacks on federal government. And also the New York Trade Center, the World Trade Center.
So I tracked down the unedited full version of that show, and I'll link to it below and put a timestamp.
We are seeing various terrorist attacks on federal government, federal buildings. Yeah, particularly South Carolina or Georgia.
Really?
By July 2002. And also the New York Trade Center, the World Trade Center in 2002.
Really?
With a terrorist attack.
Wait a minute. They didn't even mention Osama bin Laden, airplanes, or the Pentagon. Not only that, but there were no terrorist attacks whatsoever in South Carolina or Georgia, especially not against federal government buildings. And they didn't predict the day, month, or even the freaking year right. By 2002, there was no World Trade Center. So, no.
We predicted 9/11 on that show.
That is literally wrong. Now, New York, and specifically the World Trade Center, was already one of the biggest terrorist targets in the world and had already been bombed in 1993, so it wasn't a crazy unlikely prediction, especially with the vague facts that they gave. If this is their best prediction, which I'm guessing that it is because it's the one that they highlight the most, then I'm very unimpressed. But I went ahead and listened to the rest of their predictions on that show to get a better idea of their success rate.
We also see very positive things like an AIDS cure in 2002 and a cancer cure, especially for breast cancer by 2007, for example, a breast cancer drug breakthrough in 2003. We do feel that communication with UFOs is going to step up greatly within the next 7 years. So it'll be almost commonplace. Oh, definitely. There will be a great deal of ET contact in the year 2012, we're feeling. A great deal of communication at that point.
It's been 20 years since they made that prediction, and we haven't even stormed Area 51 yet.
We are seeing all kinds of things in terms of cures for MS and cerebral palsy and muscular dystrophy and things that used to have no cure, spinal cord injury. We see a great progress being made within the next decade.
I was just up at the Somewhere in Time reunion. Christopher Reeves was one of the stars of that Somewhere in Time movie. He is hopeful that in his lifetime, and not very far into the future, there is going to be a cure, and he's going to get up and walk.
I think he will walk, but I think he'll still need to be aided.
Unfortunately, Christopher Reeve died in 2004 and never regained the ability to walk. Rest in peace, Superman.
We did see a race riot in Tennessee in the year 2001.
What do you think about the Egyptian pyramids and what they actually meant?
Oh, wow. That's pretty deep.
Yes, it is.
They were supposedly built by Lyrans, I believe. Extraterrestrial in part. Guided it.
Am I the only one who finds it ironic that these are the same ladies who wrote the book You Can't Fix Stupid?
I really don't think there are any new illnesses. I think that everything has been around forever and it just kind of keeps popping up in different forms.
Oh my god, do you girls even have a high school level science education? Now, I could go on, but to save you time, I'll summarize the rest of their predictions. If you want to listen to the whole thing, I'll put a link to it below. They predicted school shootings on specific dates in Washington, Houston, Detroit, Tennessee, Alabama, Boston, and Omaha, none of which happened. Stock market crashes in 2004, 2005, and in May of 2000 due to planetary alignment, because that's how the stock market works, none of which happened, and that Quebec would separate from Canada by the end of 2000. And then they have a bunch of predictions like, we'll have time travel in the next 300 years, the Antichrist will return in 2084 in 6 bodies, and we'll have a two-way voice communication with the astral realm, allowing murder victims to chat about their killer by 2030. They did successfully predict Bush winning the election the next year, but in 1999, Gallup had already made that prediction. It was a pretty safe bet. But when they stuck with the odds again in 2016, Trump's surprise victory totally blindsided them.
Hillary Clinton will be elected president.
Wrong.
That is absolutely
wrong.
Oof.
You guys had predicted that Hillary was going to win, which technically, I don't know if you guys are going to
We saw her winning, yes.
Technically, she did. She got more votes.
By 2 million votes. More than 2 million.
That's just not how it
And
works.
still counting.
Stop. Just stop.
It may not happen, guys. I could be completely wrong. There's a first time for everything.
Now, they claim that they have 3,000 documented successful predictions.
We've documented over 3,000 world predictions that have happened.
But as awful as their performance on Art Bell was, how on earth are they getting close to those numbers? Well, here's them on another long-form radio show called Beyond the Gate, giving a list of states where they saw potential terrorist attacks.
We're seeing, a possibility of an attack in New York City, East Coast being planned now. We're seeing D.C., Virginia, Colorado again, Georgia as well. We're seeing Michigan. I don't know if Terry mentioned California, but we're seeing California. No, I haven't yet. Portland, Oregon, Nevada. We wanted to mention North Carolina and South Carolina. We're seeing New Jersey, Arizona, Washington State being vulnerable for terror plots or mass shootings. Washington, D.C. as well. Missouri. Terry, we were both vibing on Texas again. Yes, when we talk about the mass shootings or attacks, these are not necessarily Al-Qaeda or terrorist related. No. Well, to me, anybody that's getting shot or any mass shooting is terrorism. I don't care if it's domestic or foreign. Absolutely.
You gotta be kidding. They literally just listed off 15 of the biggest, most populous states and said that they predict either terrorist activity or a shooting with one or more victim, including one or more potential shootings in Texas, a state known for having more guns total than any other state. Oh, but they're not done.
In Europe, we're seeing Germany, UK. I was feeling Germany, France, and England just today. They have a large Al-Qaeda community. Japan, I'm seeing Syria, Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan, Iraq, I think I mentioned Iraq, and Yemen. Yemen is the most dangerous. I'm seeing an increase in terror attacks in that area and northern Africa. Definitely. And middle and eastern Africa. Yemen, Russia, India, seeing Egypt again in the news with increased unrest and political unrest throughout the Middle East.
This is the psychic equivalent of shooting a shotgun at the side of a barn and drawing small targets around where the buckshot landed to show how good of a shot you are.
I really see increasing massive cyber attacks and espionage on banking and finance, government and information systems, computer networks, and telecommunications in the U.S. could involve China, Russia, Iran, or North Korea this time. In the next couple of years, I'm seeing bank hack attacks throughout the next couple of years.
Now, I'm sure that they picked Iran, China, Russia, and North Korea because those are the most prominently known countries with state-sponsored cyber warfare divisions known for targeting the US, but they literally could have picked anywhere for this one. Because if you look at any major cyber attack map, you will see millions of cyber attacks originating and ending everywhere with an internet connection.
So much good news here on the medical front. We probably have the best reputation of anyone in terms of medical advances and breakthroughs over the last, dozen years or so. We're seeing breakthroughs in addiction, Parkinson's disease. We're also seeing breakthroughs for AIDS and HIV. David, as you know, we're the ones that had predicted the AIDS cures and breakthroughs that have happened over the last dozen years or so. Very exciting.
No! You're the ones who predicted an AIDS cure by 2002, remember?
We also see very positive things like an AIDS cure in 2002.
That was 17 years ago. Could you be any more dishonest? Also, they didn't predict an HIV breakthrough or treatment in 2002. They predicted a cure by then. And yes, they know the difference because on that exact same show, they made a very clear distinction between the two.
A breast cancer drug breakthrough in 2003 and a cancer cure, especially for breast cancer by 2007, for example.
That is so dishonest, but they're still not done.
We're seeing very big hurricanes, Cat 4 and 5 strength hurricanes, but on the east coast of our country as well as other countries. And it's going to be an active hurricane season this year with a major hurricane hitting the Gulf Coast.
Where else are they going to hit during hurricane season? The northern Pacific Ocean is too cold, and according to Slate, there's no record of a tropical hurricane ever hitting the West Coast.
There will be strong seismic activity in California, particularly Southern California next year or two, and there's a high risk and strong likelihood for a major strong earthquake coming up, and it's inevitable, you guys.
Oh, that's amazing. Do people not know how earthquakes work? Like, do the people listening not realize that there are well-known geological reasons for why earthquakes occur by the thousands in California but never in Manitoba? They're called tectonic plates, and wherever there's a major subduction zone on a fault line, you get seismic activity.
We're not seeing a tsunami coming anytime soon, Christine. There is at least one tsunami warning, but not for the U.S. In another country, yes, we're seeing one being possible. We were getting Thailand or Indonesia. We were seeing Asian areas being more vulnerable to tsunamis than the U.S. You're going to hear a lot of people going, doom-mongers saying, there's a tsunami coming to the east coast of the U.S. this year, and we're just not seeing it. We're frankly not seeing a tsunami hitting our country anytime soon.
Again, thank you, Captain Obvious. The U.S. Geological Survey has literally released reports on why tsunamis on the East Coast are extremely unlikely.
We're seeing major killer tornadoes in the next 2 years. In Tornado Alley, particularly the Midwest, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama comes in, and Missouri even for twisters. So we're seeing F3, F4 being most likely, F2, F3 or 4. I'm seeing a possibility of an F5.
Are they genuinely counting these as some of their 3,000 accurate predictions? Earthquakes in California, tornadoes in Oklahoma, and hurricanes on the East Coast?
We're seeing some celebrities going into rehab and possibly overdosing this year, and I pray that doesn't happen.
I just can't anymore.
We're even seeing a flying car that would use like superconducting supermagnets. They already have magnetic trains. This car is going to be extremely costly, but we do see this happening over the next couple years, being absolutely able to be produced. It would float on like a magnetic cushion, and it's exciting. It's really in its infancy stages, but we've actually seen it happening, and I think over the next few years it's going to even be made available.
No, just no. That will literally never happen. First off, just to hover, we would have to retrofit every single road with a magnetic surface that repels the car. While we've done this with a few select train routes, to do this with every single road would be outrageously expensive and extremely impractical. And second, you would have to have an insanely powerful magnet to not just levitate, but fly. And if your car generated that kind of a magnetic field, every metal object below you would be flying around like crazy and every electronic device would be fried. You're pulling straight up garbage out of your collective butts. This is not just a possible future written in pencil, not etched in stone. No, this never was a possible future to begin with.
If I had a news station, I'd say, and now the weather with Terry and Linda Jamison.
Oh, yeah, we have some of the most major meteorologists are following us on Twitter now.
Oh, they're cheating.
They're cheating.
No, but at least they would get correct information out.
Or how about we keep relying on the most cutting edge modern science and don't take society 1,000 years backwards into the dark ages.
It used to be maybe thousands of years ago before the patriarchy took over and killed all the psychics and witches and tried to steal their power. And so we're still rebuilding like the validity of the work we do.
I'm sorry, but you can't even land a job as a seismologist, climatologist, or meteorologist if the best that you can do is predict that at some point in the next year, there will be tornadoes in Oklahoma and earthquakes in California. That's about as useful as telling people that they should buy a lottery ticket with the number 4 in it. If they genuinely had psychic powers, why don't they buy a lottery ticket or bet on horses? And no, you don't get to say that you're not doing this for the money when you charge $600 an hour for a private reading.
A lot of people ask, how much did it cost? Now, they gave me 2 options. It was $350 for 35 minutes, or it could have been $450 for 45 minutes. So either way, you're paying $10 a minute.
They claim on their website to be the fastest growing YouTube channel in history. I don't know when they put that up, but their social blade tells a different story, which is probably a good thing because what they're doing is genuinely harmful.
We've worked as psychic detectives helping police with murder cases, cold cases, missing persons cases. We've, channeled the dead. We do medical intuitive work, which is diagnosing illness. For of people. We diagnosed a 27-year-old. We told somebody to actually exhume a body, and she did it.
They claim to work as psychic detectives, literally saying who is and isn't guilty of unsolved murders. Rachel Oates has done a whole video on that, so I won't cover it in detail, and I'll link to hers. But can you imagine if you've just lost a loved one and you're innocent, but a massive celebrity psychic with zero evidence says that you're guilty? You're already going through the horrible pain of losing a loved one. Now couple that with a barrage of online hate, harassment, and accusations. The psychic twins are not only parasites in that regard who also profit off of massive tragedies like 9/11, but other stuff that they do is also fundamentally sick. Like when they claim to summon the dead spirit of JonBenet Ramsey.
So we're going to channel JonBenet. We're going to talk to her.
Okay, we're connecting with JonBenet Ramsey. We clothe ourselves in the white light of God and call on the angels to protect us from any harmful energy or negative energy. We connect with the spirit of JonBenet. Are you with us? Yes. Yes. I am here. Thank you for coming in and speaking with us today, JonBenet. We've been talking about your sad passing, and we've been talking with you a lot this week. Can you tell us what happened that night that you were killed? It was a shock. I was so surprised. I forgive Daddy and Mommy for what happened. I forgive everyone involved in my murder. So who actually caused your death? I have to be honest and tell you it was my daddy. My daddy. And I forgive him. It went on for a while. No one knew. Was he afraid you were going to tell someone? Oh, yes. Very afraid. It is not what it seems. Not what it seems. Mommy knew and did not tell. Mommy knew. Very painful. Are you with her now? Yes. Yes. Okay. Mommy is here. Thank you, JonBenet, for joining us today, and we wish you peace. You are so welcome. God bless you. God bless you all. Thank you, JonBenet. That was emotional. Wow. I could cry.
After they got called out for that, they privated the video. But this is the internet. You might be thinking that I'm biased. So seriously, don't take my word for it. Go check out their page of accurate predictions. I've linked to it below, and trace any one of them back to the original unedited source. Listen to the entire thing. Count how many predictions they made. Count how many of them they got wrong. And for the ones that they got right, ask how vague was their prediction? How many different scenarios could it be talking about? And if it's specific, how probable of an event was it? For example, if they predict earthquakes in California in the coming year, that's not very specific, and it also has a 100% chance pretty much of being right. That's not called being psychic, it's called forecasting. If they really had powers, I would genuinely be impressed, and I would want to know. If they were, for example, able to publicly predict in advance that a 9.1 magnitude earthquake would hit 8.5 miles north of Memphis, Tennessee on July 18th, 2024, and it happens 100% as predicted, and they don't have a million other failed predictions to hedge the odds, then that really would be impressive. But I sincerely doubt that they can vindicate themselves like that, because you can't fix stupid. If you know someone who has fallen for this kind of stuff, or if you yourself want to know how psychics come up with things that they couldn't possibly otherwise know, I highly recommend that you watch my full series Exposing Psychics. You can tap up here for the link to that, and it's also in the description below. Not a lot of people are calling out BS like this, because it takes a lot of time and effort to research and put something like this together. I'm only able to do this because it's my full-time job thanks to ongoing support by viewers like you. So if you enjoyed this video and appreciate what I'm doing, promoting curiosity, scientific skepticism, and critical thinking, please consider supporting my work with either a one-time donation on PayPal or a recurring pledge per video on patreon.com/holykoolaid. Again, you don't have to, but it helps. And if you're a current patron, thank you so much for your ongoing support. Y'all are genuinely amazing. Thank you. And as always, dare to be curious, but don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Around May of 2000, we saw a possible stock market dive, a possible crash.
It's a very chaotic time, Marty.
Huh.
May 3rd is a powerful day, astrologically, I understand. And that is going to create tumult on this planet.
Well, I thought it was May 5th, actually. I think it's May 5th of 2000, when all the planets align.
Marty? Oh, well.
No, I think it's May 5th.
Uh-huh.
Pretty sure that's the date of alignment.
Wow.
May 5th of 2000.